Hello! I just want to say hello to the Fiveish Fangirls. No, that's wrong. I want to say hello to the Fiveish Fangirls. Yes, that's right.
Yes.
Is it? Yes, that's
Yes.
correct.
That's
Anyway,
correct.
hello.
Hello.
Hello. Hello. Hello. That's 5 hellos to the Fiveish Fangirls. Bye.
The tangents and squee continue all the way to episode number 5 of the Fiveish Fangirls podcast. And in the wise words of that great archaeologist, Professor River Song, spoilers! Welcome everyone to the Fiveish Fangirls podcast. Let's jump right in, go around the virtual table, and see who has joined us this week.
Hi, I'm Brittany from Taos.
This is Chrissy from Salt Lake City.
This is Holly from Wisconsin.
Michelle from Kitchener, Ontario.
And I am Rachel from Indianapolis, Indiana. Welcome everyone. I hope everybody is doing well. Once again, we've got lots of squee-worthy news to talk about and another interesting topic for this week. And if you haven't figured out what we're talking about this week, well, spoilers.
Indeed.
We're just going to put a disclaimer.
Spoilers.
We're going to put a disclaimer out right now before we even jump into news that this particular episode is going to be spoiler heavy, and we can't get any more specific than that because we don't know exactly what we're going to spoil.
We'll probably use various examples of spoilers from
Yes.
various things, so we'll mention it before we start.
Yeah.
Spoiler folks, beware.
Yes.
Yes.
Especially in our news segment, there are quite a few spoilers.
And
Yes.
that's a perfect segue because our first piece of news that Holly has got for us, if you're not finished with watching the most recent season of Once Upon a Time, spoilers.
Big time spoilers.
Yes, spoilers ahead, and fast forward a few minutes if need be. A new casting announcements were made for Once Upon a Time Season 4. Once Upon a Time's promised take on Frozen got its first casting announcements this week. Princess Anna will be played by Elizabeth Lale, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that correctly, and Kristoff will be played by Scott Michael Foster of Greek. Later in the week, news came out that Georgia Haig from Fringe was cast as Queen Elsa herself, who was glimpsed at the end of Once's Season 3 finale, but played by a stand-in for that cameo appearance. Filming for Once's 4th season is set to begin in July 9th in Vancouver, which is just 3 days away. Looking forward to that.
Not like waiting till the last minute to cast a couple of people, is there?
Yeah.
Yeah. That is really last minute. All right.
That's very exciting.
Unless they've had them cast, they just now made the announcement.
That's
Yeah,
true. They may have cast
that's
and then
possible.
held off and waited till right before filming, so once they get on set, it's not a big thing, I guess.
It's not a
not
spoiler.
leaked.
Yeah, it's not as spoilerish.
Because those set reporters, gosh dang it, they're good.
Yes, they are. Oh. All right, I guess
Brittany?
I got the next news.
Yep.
Coming from Baker Street, Sherlock. Whoa. We have news from Sherlock. One-off special airing Christmas of 2015, with the 3-part series soon after filming will begin next January. It began with a series of tweets from Sherlock's co-creator Mark Gatiss, who also plays Mycroft Holmes. It's all gone dark. Something's coming, or someone. During which BBC One's official Twitter account weighed in on the image of Sherlock's arch-enemy Jim Moriarty and the now familiar question, "Did you miss me?" along with the hashtag 221back. It had the desired effect. Excitement spread like wildfire to the ranks of the Sherlock faithful, and speculation as to what it all meant went into a frenzy. Well, now we know. The detective will return for one-off special following by a new 3-part series with filming set to begin... Oh, wait a second. That doesn't... With filming set to begin in January 2015. That doesn't make sense. All right.
Yeah.
Sorry. I read that wrong. I'm sorry. It does make sense.
Yeah.
I read it wrong. The standalone episode would tackle the mystery the detective was faced with in the final frames of Series 3 last January. Right in the face of Sherlock's supposedly dead arch-enemy Moriarty is being broadcast on every television in the land. Like co-creator Stephen Moffat says, we are reasonably confident that the very next thing to happen to Sherlock and John is the very last thing you would expect. Just something you would expect to hear from him.
Yeah.
The announcement...
Teaser extraordinaire.
Yeah.
Yes. The announcement also appears to back up claims by Martin Freeman, who plays Dr. John Watson, who said recently that fans could expect a Christmas special in 2015.
Yay! Sherlock is coming back.
Yes, I can agree that quote from Moffat isn't too ominous as it sounds.
It is.
Well, that works out well because Doctor Who season 8 is finishing filming or just finished filming, so they'll go into post-production for that and work on the subsequent episodes, and then as it airs come August, and then once that finishes airing, he can go work on Sherlock.
Yeah, get the scripts and producer stuff getting going for that.
Yeah.
So that's exciting.
Very exciting. Could never go wrong. Never go too wrong with more Benedict Cumberbatch on your TV.
Oh no.
No.
And this is the first time Sherlock's had a Christmas special, if I'm not mistaken.
I think you're right.
Correct.
They've always aired the season's 3 episodes long, but they're long episodes.
Right.
Yes.
But they've always been around New Year's, I believe.
Yes.
Well, I mean, the last
The last one
episode
was.
took place at Christmas, but I didn't watch it when it originally aired, so I have no idea.
And what it did take place at Christmas, but it didn't air, and that wasn't until January, I think.
Okay.
Yeah,
but I could remember wrong because it
I
aired.
remember being home on New Year's Day and watching it.
Okay.
So
I jumped on the Sherlock bandwagon late, so.
But at least you jumped on it.
Yes, exactly. I'm very
we don't
glad
care
I
when you jump on it, as long as you do.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Well, Michelle's got some Doctor Who news.
Speaking of,
Yes. So, the Doctor Who World Tour will be in August 7th in Cardiff. The show stars will be attending the lunchtime St. David's Hall red carpet event together with lead writer and executive producer Stephen Moffat. Fans attending will get the opportunity to see Season 8's premiere episode, Deep Breath, at the event. BBC Wales director,
Rodri? I'm going to go with Rodri, I think.
Roger Halfan Davis said, Doctor Who is getting even bigger and even better, and it's a real thrill that the show's fans here in Wales will be the very first to see the new Doctor at this very special premiere screening. Doctor Who has been made in Wales for almost 10 years, and we're so proud of its worldwide success. The feature-length premiere episode of the 8th series, entitled Deep Breath, will be broadcast globally from Saturday, 23rd of August, 2014. The event is held in association with BFI Sci-Fi Days of Fear and Wonder, the full program for which will be announced later this month. And also in Doctor Who news, we got another teaser trailer for Series 8.
Yay!
yay!
Which ties in well, so. I have
Attached in show notes.
Yeah, we'll attach a link to that to the teaser, which it's very interesting the look that they seem to be going with these teasers, that they've all been the Doctor in the TARDIS, and the TARDIS seems to be exploding or something's catching on fire. There's like sparks of electrical going all over the place, and in this one, he's getting electrocuted by the phone, which that in itself, if you remember from the Christmas special, that means he probably fixed the phone after Handels reminded him. But he gets electrocuted by the phone, and you see the Doctor's like skeleton and nervous system, and you see his double hearts. And
when he gets electrocuted.
yeah,
I hope this means
Yeah.
I hope this means they're not getting rid of this current TARDIS console. Otherwise, I'm going to have to change my iPhone wallpaper.
Well, the promo image that got released with the last teaser, if you look at the at least the console room, it's still the same style, but it has changed so much. It looks a little dirtier. It doesn't have that clean, like almost hospital sterile look to it. It looks like the TARDIS is, because usually they, I don't know if I've read this somewhere and it's not actually canon or not, but I thought I read somewhere that the interior, at least as far as the console room, is somewhat of a reflection of the Doctor, who the Doctor is at the time.
Yeah.
I can see that, because this new console, it got dark right after Amy and Rory left. So,
Right.
And that would like that. Never mind. That probably didn't come out the way I wanted.
Yeah. So.
Well, you know, when he was, you know, after he found Amy and all that stuff, it was like this bright, whimsical, sort of fairy tale-ish sort of thing. So maybe that there is some truth to that. I'll buy it.
In the words of Sean, I'll buy that for $1.
As they say on Tumblr, headcanon accepted.
Exactly. Now, I don't know if you guys noticed, if this occurred to you guys with the announcement about the world tour, the thing at Cardiff 1, I'm skeptical, and this ties in well to, we'll probably touch on this more in the topic because it fits in well, the fact that they're going to air the episode at this event almost 2 weeks, week and a half before it's supposed to air on TV.
They better be having somebody stand and confiscating all cell phones.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
unless Moffat makes a plea like he did for the trailer from the 50th at San Diego Comic-Con.
Well, who's attending this? Is it press or is it fans?
It's a fan event. They can buy tickets.
Will be.
Okay, so it is fans.
Yeah.
Because I know they'll have people sign non-disclosure.
Yeah, it says fans
agreements
attending
and
will
stuff
get the
like that.
opportunity to see season 8 premiere episode Deep Breath at the event.
Right.
So there will be fans attending.
Well, didn't Asylum was aired?
Yeah, Asylum
but it was a week in New York, and that stayed. Well, at least I didn't hear what happened.
Yeah, I didn't hear any spoilers, but I don't know.
And there was a pretty big potential spoiler in that one. If
that's true.
Oh,
yes.
I
didn't hear hide nor hair of that until I saw it.
Nothing about that.
I even saw that the day after it aired. There were reasons. Anyway.
Well, there may not be anything to be worried about. Who knows? We'll see.
Oh, hopefully.
So.
Fans have been getting better about that.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's because they know Moffat will take their privileges away if they do, probably. So.
Hey, fans have gotten better at whining, though.
That's true.
That's true.
So they've moved their energies from from revealing spoilers to just whining.
Yeah. They can whine all they want as long as they don't spoil anything. But the other thing that jumped out at me is, one, the episode's going to be feature length, so it's going to be about the same length as the Day of the Doctor, I'm assuming.
At least the same length as the 50th.
Yeah, and it also says that the news that we got, it came from the Doctor Who.tv website. It says that it will be broadcast globally on the 23rd of August. So are they going to do another simulcast?
That would be
like they did for the 50th?
Probably not. I think the 50th was sort of a one-time thing because it was a special event.
Yeah,
but I think
it's just the way they worded that. It just it's like
it's what it usually is with the evening time zone on that day.
Yeah.
But like Australia, it would be by the time they wouldn't air it first because it'd be the 24th by the time it would air in.
Yeah, because they usually get it usually get it on Sunday rather than because of time zones and all those things.
Time zones
I don't know.
Complicated.
Yes, they are.
Maybe
I try.
Maybe they'll make things more clear the closer we get.
Yeah,
Probably.
Time will reveal all, I'm sure.
Yes.
The only thing I know is that I'm 7 hours behind the UK, and that's all I need.
Broadcast globally from
same here.
Saturday, the 23rd of August, which means it's going to start broadcasting globally on the 23rd, and then kind of just...
Oh, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Maybe.
Oh well.
So, like, it will first be broadcast on the 23rd, and then in Britain, and then all the rest of the world will follow after in the...
Work its way around the globe.
Okay, that makes sense.
So I'm 5 hours. I'm 5 hours behind
London.
London.
The way
So.
it's worded, and globally from Saturday seems to indicate that some countries will get it in the next few days afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Okay. Point is, Doctor Who's coming. So, yay! More news will reveal itself as we go, I'm sure.
Yep.
All right, and our last piece of news, if we're all done discussing that,
Mm-hmm.
we're good? Okay. Our last piece of news, I'm probably the only one who's really hyped up about this, but this is my childhood. I don't care. Oh, yeah. Sorry.
I watched the new episode.
You watched the new one? Oh my gosh, we'll have to
I
speak about
haven't.
it later. Okay, well, I meant to bring this up in previous episode or previous podcast, and I kept forgetting, but I'm going to squee about it now. Because if you haven't heard, they are re-releasing the Sailor Moon anime, the original one from the 90s, and they just put out a new... They're starting with a brand new reboot as well. It started airing yesterday on Hulu, among other places, but I watched it on Hulu. And yesterday at Anime Expo, they announced the voice cast for the new Sailor Moon English dub. Now, if you're familiar with Sailor Moon at all, in the 90s, I mean, I'm not going to go into the whole sordid history of it, but they had it. They dubbed over the original Japanese, and back in the 90s, they kind of butchered it a lot. If you're interested in the history of it, the Mary Sue has an excellent rundown of a 3-part special of what kind of happened with all that. But because of the way that it was treated in the 90s, the rights to the anime were tied up because it was not treated very well, especially in the English speaking rights. They were like, nope, you're not getting this back. And it took them almost 15 years to finally get this, but then back in May, Viz Media announced that they'd secured the rights to a North American release of Sailor Moon, and they announced that they were re-releasing the subtitled anime, and they were putting it out on Hulu and Neon Alley and Crunchyroll, and they promised that they would a brand new English dub. It's going to be uncut, more faithful translation. So I'm excited about this. I'm not going to read out the whole list, mostly because I'm not familiar with any of these voice actors. Although
I was looking at the list earlier, and I'm not familiar with any of them either.
Well, I guess there's one that I am familiar with. I lied. Johnny Young Bosch is playing Artemis, and he was actually the Black Ranger in the Power Rangers back in the 90s. And I hear he's gotten really big on the anime voice acting circuit, and he's real popular. So I'm excited that they got something like that. Everybody else, I'm like, I have no idea. But I'm certain. I mean, the way that the producers at Viz have spoken about this project with so much, joy and reverence and respect for the original material. I mean, I love the original, the 90s English dub. Don't get me wrong, that's what got me into this. But I am really excited to see something a bit more faithful to the original. And what the vision for this should really be. I mean, it's such a fantastic story. I love the characters. I love the world building in it. Oh my gosh, it's just so much fun. I could sit here and gush about it. And also, and we also got news that the first half of the season 1 DVD will be released on November 11th, and I do believe pre-orders are being taken on rightstuff.com, maybe Amazon. I haven't seen anything yet, but I do know Right Stuff has that, and we can probably put a link in that. And then also Viz Media has the rights secured to release Sailor Moon Crystal, which is the new reboot, quote-unquote, reboot anime that started airing yesterday. And I believe that this voice cast is also going to be used for the English dub of that as well. So, I mean, the last couple of years, they've had so much merchandise come out for Sailor Moon. They've had, like, toys and jewelry and makeup and stationery and all this other stuff. And I'm like, okay, that's great, but where are my DVDs? Well, now they're coming. So this is exciting.
I have a friend. There's a friend of mine who, I don't know if she's still into it, but she used to be really into Sailor Moon, and she would bemoan the fact that that getting her hands on DVDs was like so expensive, because if she wanted to buy them, she would have
have
them shipped from Japan, and
they were just nowhere to be found. Like, you'd go on eBay to find them, and they'd be like $200, $300 for one disc, and it's like, no, I'm not that desperate for it. Thanks, though.
yeah.
So, but now we're finally getting an official release, and it's a good time to be a Sailor Moon fan, I have to say. I mean, we kind of went through a little bit of a wilderness years of our own there for a while, but there's some good stuff. And I know it's kind of got the reputation of being a little bit cheesy, but you know what? Embrace the cheese. You gotta love it.
Cheese is good for you.
Cheese is good for you. It's part of a well-balanced diet, darn it.
Exactly.
Sailor Moon was one of those, I didn't really watch it when I was a kid, but
Yeah, me too.
It was like, if it was on, I would watch it, but I didn't go out of my way to watch it.
Yeah.
It's
Oh
been
my
one of the
gosh.
ones that's been on my list that I need to go.
No, so my younger sister started watching it, and she got me hooked on it. And then the rest of my siblings were like, oh my gosh, that looks so dumb, why are you watching that? Even kids at school were like, what the heck is this? I would rush home to watch it, and hopefully no one would be around to like give me dirty looks while I was watching it. But I actually taped the first movie off of Cartoon Network, and I had the VHS like hidden away in my room, and I would sneak out of my room late at night and go put it in the VCR and watch it with the volume turned all the way down, because my sister's room, not the sister that got me into it, another sister, it was right behind me, and I could not wake her up, but this was the only time I could watch it uninterrupted. So I would turn the volume all the way down to like the 1 tick volume, and I would watch it like at 2 a.m. because I loved it so much. And I wore that videotape out. I don't even know where that tape is anymore because it got lost somewhere. But yeah, I was a little bit of a closet fan because I didn't really know anybody who enjoyed it as much as I did, and I didn't really have anyone to talk to about it, and people were just kind of like, ew, what are you watching that for? That's so dumb. But now I'm like, no, I know people who watch it, and it's like, this is so great.
One of us.
Yeah. Did you watch it too, Holly?
I watched a little bit now and again.
Okay. But yeah, the first episode of Crystal was fantastic. It's on Hulu. I think you can watch it on the free side. I have the Hulu subscription.
I watched it on Crunchyroll.
Oh, okay, and it's on Crunchyroll as well, so you can watch it. It's subtitled. Oh my gosh, it looks gorgeous. I'm way excited.
I think I'm getting back into my anime craze, so I might just have to.
See, I'm not like way into anime, but with Sailor Moon coming back, I'm like, okay, I've really got to get into this. I used to be way into it, and now I've kind of backed off, but this is sort of rekindling my love, and I'm just so excited about it. So anyway, yay, hooray! If you're a Moonie, good time to be one. And if you're not, give it a try. You might enjoy it more than you think you will.
Cool. All right. Well, that's it for news. So we'll go into feedback. And we have just one piece of feedback. I'm going to try to read this as best I can without laughing, and you'll understand why I'm getting the giggles reading this here in a second. Feedback says, hey, Fangirls. I haven't missed a podcast yet, and I have to say, great work. By the way, this is Rachel's husband. Ha! As you were speaking about various conventions, my mind went on a heck of a tangent that I would like to share. Okay, here goes. So Facebook bought the virtual reality company Oculus in March this year. Mark Zuckerberg is quoted about VR saying, "Imagine sharing not just moments with your friends online, but entire experiences and adventures. At work, I do so many things, virtually, including academic conventions, which are very dry and just in streaming video form. So you may see where I'm going with this. Let's say it's the future, and virtual reality is in every home, and virtual cons are possible as rich VR social experiences that you can attend from the comfort of your own home. I could see mail-order-based VR vendor halls, panels featuring animated characters, and tours of CGI sets from your favorite shows, all in VR. What are your thoughts on these crazy ideas? Thank you, Chauncey."
Thanks, Chauncey.
Thanks, Chauncey.
Actually, because I read through this, but before we started, but I didn't really read through it. But then that line about panels featuring animated characters, and I kind of think about things like the Muppets, how in the movies they're treated. I mean, I know they're not animated, but they're Muppets.
They're treated like people.
But they're treated like actual people. Or I remember when Space Jam came out, they treated the Looney Tunes like they were actual actors.
Yeah.
Shush. I remember Space Jam.
Hey,
We still have that on VHS and we watch it. So
yeah. So it's like you could have a panel with Bugs Bunny and Porky Pig and all these other or
Sailor Moon.
Yeah, like why the heck not? And ask them questions or I don't know if they'd have a Q&A, but they'd have like a something.
Yeah.
So yeah, hey.
That actually been pretty cool. I want that now.
Yeah, well, my thought when Rachel was reading that was, what about celebrity autographs? Because
maybe that
you get it digitally and have a PDF mailed to you.
It's kind of like those GIFs you see on Tumblr where someone has animated an autograph. Like I have Peter Capaldi's autograph. He's quote signing it on my Tumblr because I reblogged the GIF of his autograph.
Oh, I have a few of those too.
Yeah, so I don't know, maybe something like that, or it could be part of the mail order.
And if you had a picture a particular thing you want, the particular photo you wanted signed, you would just scan that and they would.
Yeah.
Or maybe like if you want to meet them it wouldn't be quite face to face, but you in a Skype call, a video chat. It's like you're in line to meet them on the video chat, and you're talking face to face. Of course, you don't have a table or anything in front of you, but
right.
you have a screen, and then you have a line of people who are waiting to talk to them, and you talk to them, and you get maybe 2 minutes with them. So it's sort of like an autograph line, but not quite. I don't know. Sort of.
A virtual autograph line.
Virtual autograph line. And then they send you the autograph later.
That'd be good for the people who, we were talking about last week about people that aren't that comfortable with crowds and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
That way they could still be part of it without having to deal with the actual people.
You wouldn't have to worry about travel or
travel expenses or
that kind of stuff.
If you're at home, the bathroom's always clean, should be at least.
That's true.
The bathroom's not clean, it's your fault, it's not anybody else's.
You don't have to pay $20 for nachos.
Exactly. So, yeah, you never know. The way VR is going, the sky is the limit. And we'll have to have my husband on at some point and talk VR. Because it's something that he's very passionate about, and I hear about it every day.
That would be
not that I'm panning his passion, because I'm very, very proud of him of what he's doing both at work and on his own time with VR, and be interesting to have him on and let him wax poetic about VR. But until then, he'll send us feedback. He wasn't sure.
Just on the subject of VR, real quick, because I know when I was in library school, we talked a lot about Second Life, and I don't know if that's still a thing. I'm really not into it or something, but it was something that we talked about having virtual libraries.
It's not as big as it was.
It's not as big. Okay, yeah,
it's like MySpace.
Yeah,
this was a couple
years
ago.
ago.
I remember when I was a teenager, I'd hear about back in life quite a lot, but not so much in recent years.
Yeah. Well, they were talking about you would build up a virtual your library system could build a virtual library in Second Life, and patrons could come to you, and you'd have your little librarian avatar, and they'd come and ask you reference questions, and it's kind of more fun than just, in chat format or something. But I guess if it's not that big a thing anymore, then well, we'll forget it. But yeah, that was something I know a little bit about, not very much though.
Well, let's jump into this week's topic, and if you haven't figured out what we're going to talk about this week yet, it's spoilers. So, and if you don't know what spoilers are, you apparently don't get out much. I don't know. I don't know what I guess that's a good place to start. Is what is the definition of a spoiler? I guess.
Usually, I mean, the broad definition is anything in a book or movie or TV show or video game or
media,
whatever, any media that it spoils the ending, or
it gives out
information
that
gives away the story.
Yeah,
gives away something important.
Yeah,
yes.
Usually something important to the plot of whatever it is. So, and spoilers have been around for I'm sure ever and ever and ever since media came out, but just
ever since the first fandom.
Yeah.
I remember. I'm not really into The Simpsons, but I remember watching an episode of The Simpsons where they show Homer and Marge when they were dating, and they went to a movie, and they show them coming out of the movie theater, and there's a big long line of people, and Homer's all like, "I can't believe that Darth Vader is Luke Skywalker's dad," and all the people in line heard him say that, and they were all like turned around going, "Oh, really?" Because he just spoiled it for him.
Yeah.
Which that's kind of the joke is, nowadays most people know that Darth Vader is Luke Skywalker's dad, but at the time when that first came out, it was such a big deal, and I remember my dad even talking about oh my gosh, that was such a big reveal, and that nobody could believe it, and we were talking about it for weeks and weeks and weeks, and so it was such a big, huge thing, and so now it's made that impact of what's the biggest wham moment we can give people, and
right.
that I know that the ending of Planet of the Apes is a big one that people try to, or that people remember. Those are the two off the top of my head that I can think of. But those are things you don't want to have spoiled, because you want to have that big, oh my gosh, I can't believe this moment for somebody.
I just saw one, the Soylent Green.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that one too.
Is pretty well known.
It is, yeah. It is.
And because it was such a big moment when it was first revealed. And everyone was just like, what?
Mm-hmm.
So, personally, and we can go around here and everybody can give their own take, but are you a spoiler-free person? Do you avoid certain parts of the internet? Do you, if you know like a movie's come out or a TV show and you can't watch it right away, do you avoid getting on Facebook and Twitter and all that, or are you sometimes you don't mind being spoiled? Is there like a scale that I wouldn't mind if this got spoiled, but definitely not this, or do you not care whatsoever?
Well, I'm pretty relaxed about spoilers, but I don't like with new episodes of Doctor Who. And to avoid that, I usually try and find a live stream at the original, when it's originally being broadcast in Britain. I find a live stream and I just watch it online so that I don't have to worry about avoiding Tumblr for 5 hours on Saturday afternoons while it's airing. But Doctor Who is one thing that I can think of that I absolutely don't want to be spoiled on. So I do my best to watch it at the original broadcast time. to avoid that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just because a lot of the time I'm working on Saturdays, so I don't I don't have that option. Sometimes I can get off, but then I just avoid social media all day. Yeah, Doctor Who. That's the main one I try to do when I do that. But
with Tumblr, you can like blacklist stuff so that people if people tag spoilers, you can
if they're posting that way their stuff.
Yeah, if they're tagging, and if you have, it's called XKit, which is like the most amazing thing. And just as an aside, they released an app for your phone that, or your device that you can use XKit on your mobile, which is kind of cool. They didn't have that before, so.
I have that, and it doesn't seem like the blacklist is working for the tags. It's working for what's actually in the post, but not the tags. Because I've got stuff blacklisted, and if what I've got blacklisted is in the tags, then it apparently doesn't catch it. But they say they're still working on it, so hopefully that will...
Yeah, I mean, it's a new thing, so, like, give them time to work out all the kinks and stuff.
But, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, Tumblr, you can do that as long as you have that extension installed, or you stay on your own blog or something.
I think there's one for Twitter as well. There's oh,
really?
It was actually a program or like a plugin or something that you could tie to your Twitter account that is actually designed and created by a girl who was tired of getting spoiled about some TV show. I can't remember what it was. It may have been like Game of Thrones or something. That, she was getting annoyed because she would keep seeing spoilers on Twitter. So she came up with this program or plugin or whatever it is so that you can tie it to your Twitter, and kind of like the Tumblr, you can look for keywords and hashtags, and it'll keep it from showing up in your Twitter feed. So...
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Cool. That's cool. I've looked that up.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it's called, but
I think with me, if it's something I'm really, really looking forward to, like Doctor Who or Harry Potter back when it was coming out, I was like, I had to get the book at midnight and read all the way through, and I could, I shut myself off from the internet until I was done.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'd go online and go, and squee and flail all over the place as best I could.
Yeah.
Back in the day. So yeah, it kind of depends on what show it is or what media it is. There's some things I don't care about, really. Well, I do care, but I like getting little tidbits. Like this past weekend, Jennifer Morrison, who was in Once Upon a Time, she was at a convention in Australia, and she did put out, like, there was like one little line that Emma says in the first episode, because the script is out and the actors have it now apparently. That there was one little line, and people were saying, "Oh, this is a spoiler." But I was like, if it's one little line, I read it anyway, and I was like, oh, and that kind of just. But it was. I won't say what the line was, but it more or less it fueled my speculation, because I've kind of decided that I enjoy speculating about Once Upon a Time, and I'm not so much with any other show right now, just with Once Upon a Time. I don't know why, but that's the one I decided to do apparently, and I like coming up with theories and these speculations. So on any of these little tidbits, and Harry Potter, I was the same way. I would go over the book or interviews that J.K. Rowling had given, and being like, oh, this, connect the dots sort of a thing. So those kind of spoilers is basically just, got my theories going and that kind of stuff. And I'm sure that when filming starts, because the cast, they like to tweet out pictures and different things going on, and there already been set reports and pictures on Twitter posted. Yeah. And I'm sure I will seek those out, and I don't count those for myself as spoilers, because they're fueling my headcanon, as it were. What's that?
Well, like, set pictures, like when fans go to where they're filming and, like, take pictures of what's going on.
Yeah.
Because I've kind of been following that for Doctor Who.
Yeah.
In the absence of the actual show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
and there have been some of those spoilers floating around, too.
those are things that I have on occasion actively sought out because I want to know. But like the thing about avoiding Tumblr, if you haven't seen it, is that on Tumblr they have GIF sets, they have meta, they have all this stuff that I don't want to know that much detail about the episode before I've seen it.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, if they've seen the episode and they're posting about it,
I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
So like I go in the tag DWSR Doctor Who Set Report, and I'll look at the pictures that they have in there, and sometimes I'll come across old Set Report pictures from like last season. But
sometimes that behind the scenes stuff's just fun to look at.
Yeah.
It is.
Especially if your show is on hiatus.
seeing some of the costumes that Jenna's wearing this season are really cool.
I'm sure the cosplayers love set pictures because they can start working on their costumes now.
That's true. That's true.
Speaking of cosplay, I am almost done my 11th Doctor cosplay.
Yay!
I was out yesterday downtown, and I picked up a shirt and pants. So I just need the boots.
Awesome. We want pictures.
Yes. We want.
Yeah, I took a couple pics on my phone, one with, one without Sonic. So
yeah,
I can put those in our Dropbox so that Rachel can post them on the site.
Cool.
Cool.
And then sometimes with those set pictures, you don't know if what's been taken is actually going to be wind up on the TV spinner versus the scene that's going to be cut. So
that's
very true. Yeah,
I like looking at the set picture. Oh, sorry, was someone going?
Oh no, I was just gonna say, they'll do multiple takes of the same scene, and you never know, they may go back and decide that scene needs to change completely, and they'll film it again.
From the set recording of them doing multiple takes of a particular scene.
Yeah.
And I have no idea of the context of this scene.
Yeah.
Because there are some other characters. I have no idea who the other characters are, what they're doing, why they're doing it. It's like completely out of context, which means I'm more or less fine with it.
Yeah.
Yes. And I like to... Sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I was going to say, I like to, like, when I see set pictures, I like to try to guess what's going on, but half the time I'm, like, totally wrong. It's so much fun trying to, like, okay, this is going to happen. And when I see it in context, like, oh, wait, never mind.
Yeah, and that's the thing when you're guessing, and that's part of the fun of guessing is
exactly.
You don't know that this is actually going to be right. I mean, I've come up with different theories. I came up with different theories with Harry Potter that turned out to be completely wrong and completely out of left field. Which is where you get, fan fiction. I mean, there's especially in the long wait between publication of Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire and Order of the Phoenix. There were so many fanfics that came out, and actually, what's it called? What's that girl's name?
Hermione?
No, it was a fan fiction author, and she got published. Cassandra Clare. The Mortal Instruments. That book series I have not read, but it is. I've read that it is based on a Harry Potter fan fiction that she wrote during that time, and the final fan fiction went in like this way different direction that was totally different from Harry Potter. And I know there's like some other controversy that I don't know anything about, but I'm just saying this is how at least one author that I know of got her start is in doing fan fiction because she was speculating about different things that this is totally off topic now that I think about it, but it was just sort of we're talking about speculation
tangent
and stuff. Tangent, we do that over here.
I love reading. I like going to like fanfiction.com and that stuff, and I love reading the old stories from like before the series ended and seeing like, oh wow, they're totally wrong. Some actually got not exactly right, but came pretty close to some things that happened. Like, oh wow, that's a little creepy.
If you want a good book to read, you're looking for something to read, I would recommend the book Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. And it is about a girl who she is a fan fiction writer, and there's a book series that she's following. It's kind of a pretty close analog to Harry Potter, but it's changed for obvious reasons. But she's writing a fan fiction before the last book comes out, and she's just going off to college, and she's dealing with all these things in her life, and it's kind of it's a really, really fun book to read. I highly recommend it. So yeah, if you want to talk about spoilers and speculation, and it's a really unique book to read, and so I think people ought to read that one, because it was, especially if you are a fangirl and any kind of fandom ishness that you're into, it's a quality read. Anyway,
which we all might just like
meant to read it, but I don't know. I think when I first heard about it, I didn't feel like spending the money to buy it, or I couldn't. Yeah, that's definitely one I'm meaning to read.
Yeah. So anyway.
Well, I know for myself, I'm kind of the same way. I kind of cherry pick. I know Doctor Who, like, I wouldn't go and read, a full script rundown if somebody were to post that, but I don't mind seeing things like set pictures, because you don't get context, at least with pictures. Now, you start getting people putting up video they took on, like, their cell phones. Like, I know the first episode, when they were first filming with Capaldi's first ever episode, and there was a scene of them in London, and Clara comes out of the TARDIS and is on her phone, and you hear Capaldi's doctor, talking to her while she's on the phone. Like, then you could start to maybe get some context and maybe some story, but pictures not so much, because you just don't know. And like I said, they'll film things, multiple takes, and they may decide after the fact that scene needs to be shot completely differently, and now
or even cut.
Yeah, and then those pictures are moot anyway. So I have certain fandoms where I'm all like, fingers in my ears, like la 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 la. I don't want to know anything. Like, leading into the 50th of Doctor Who, the 50th anniversary special. I didn't want to hear or read or see anything unless it came from an official source.
Yeah, and like official sources, I totally count as, this is something the marketing department has chosen to promote this. It's the image or a clip or a trailer or something, and I'm totally cool with that. I mean, it's been chosen to get me excited about it. I want to be excited about this. I want to look forward to this, and so I want to be excited about it. So I'm totally okay with that. I do know there are some people who totally avoid trailers or images and everything, and that's cool too. However you want to enjoy anything spoiler-free, that's fantastic, I think. But, official stuff's good.
Because if it's official, it's more of a teaser than a spoiler.
It's getting you ready for the...
It's whetting the appetite. Pavlov's dog ringing the bell.
I know, and I will keep ringing that bell because I want more. I want more of those goodies.
Yeah.
There is one thing though, and this kind of goes into what we were discussing earlier in the news with the early screening of Deep Breath with Doctor Who, because last week, I think it was last week, a video was leaked onto the internet. It was this is what I was thinking about when we were talking about, like, are there fans coming to this screening, and how are they going to keep a lid on spoilers and stuff like that? Because and I'm not saying these fandoms are similar, but this past week, a video came out from a screening of the first episode of Sailor Moon Crystal, and it had the opening. It was like just filmed. Someone had just filmed it on a cell phone camera, I'm assuming, and it was the opening title credit sequence, and plus a fairly important scene in the middle of the episode, and there were GIFs of it everywhere on Tumblr. It was just this crappy little shaky cam, and you could hear it, but it had the music and it had the images, and I was kind of like, so, okay, first off, I am getting excited about this, and, this does look cool and everything, but I don't know that I wanted to see this quite yet, because it was a couple of days before the premiere. And then when I finally saw the episode and saw it all in context, I was like, still excited, but not as excited had my first time seeing it been the episode itself.
Right.
So, I don't know. It's just kind of like, sometimes people want to, get so excited and they put this stuff out there and say, hey, look, let me show you what I got away with.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of like, really? Why'd you have to do that?
Yeah.
I must not be following any of those people because I didn't see that.
Well, you're lucky. I finally did break down and watch the video because I was like, oh, I feel like I've seen half of it already in GIF form, so just give me the rest of it. But then the closing credit sequence I didn't see, and it looked pretty and wonderful, and I loved it, so I was happy with that. So I had, and the rest of it was a treat anyway.
So that brings up an interesting point is, the people out there that post spoilers are there's two camps. There's going to be people that post stuff out of just sheer excitement, not thinking about the fact that they may be spoiling, because they probably assume, hey, there's other people out there that are going to be excited about this as well, and will probably thank me for putting it out there. And then the people that spoil just to be meanie people. Because I know, I know you guys, I'm not reading it, but I know Holly is in the middle of reading one of the Divergent books, and those of you that are have read it, I know you're all like, if she's mentioning how far along you are, you're like, I'm not going to say anything.
well, even this week with the news of the Once Upon a Time casting, I found that link and I was like, okay, who hasn't finished Once Upon a Time yet? Because this is really kind of spoilery, and I didn't want to spoil people who are still watching the show.
Right.
So we had to be mindful of that.
Yeah. I can forgive to a point if it seems like it was done out of excitement, but you can kind of tell when people post spoilers just to be party poopers. They just want to ruin it for everybody. Like, I know when the Night of the Doctor got posted, and I was probably one of the first people to see it out of our little group, and I go to Facebook, and, I'm putting in as big as letters as Facebook will let me, squee with a big old spoiler disclaimer.
Right.
And because I didn't want to run it. Hey, we've got this short. Paul McGann's Doctor is back. But
I was really grateful for that, Rachel, because your notification was the first thing I saw that morning. And I was like, okay, I better watch this now because
Same.
Because
I got that big surprise.
Yeah, if you
and even in my excitement, I actually did retweet something, and this was soon after Twitter changed, where you see the pictures now, and I'd retweeted something, and I was like, oh my gosh, but apparently it had spoiled somebody else, and I felt really bad because they hadn't seen it yet. But here was, a picture of Paul McGann in the tweet, and I was just like, and so they replied to me and said, I know you didn't mean to do this, but I actually got spoiled by your retweet. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I forgot that Twitter did that now. And he was, I felt bad about it. He was okay. I apologize, but, in your excitement, you can. It is easy to forget that not everybody has seen this quite yet.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is where blacklisting and spoiler tags on Tumblr especially come in handy.
Even on Facebook, when I post stuff on Facebook, you can't. You can to a point, if it'll post an image along with the text, you usually have the option to little X to click on it so it doesn't post an image. But even then, sometimes the link. The URL may have information in it. Yeah. So I always try to post first spoilers, even on Facebook, just for that reason. But just because I know people may not want to see it.
Yeah.
So, but,
and sometimes you just, for all your good intentions and all your efforts, sometimes things still just get through, and what do you do?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You can apologize, and that's about.
Yeah.
If you're the one that did
About
the
all you
spoiling. And
It's also something because you want to say, like, you want to talk to people, but you don't know if they said it, so you have to, I don't know.
Ask if they've
I'll
seen
be
it or something.
patient. Yeah.
Yes.
It's really. So you have to.
Well, back when a couple months ago, when the Once Upon a Time finale happened, I was just like, I was over the moon about everything that happened in that episode. I mean, that was just, did my little shipper heart good. And then at the end, with the reveal that they were going to put Frozen in it, I was like, this is so amazing. Like, of course they're going to put Frozen in this. Why wouldn't they? And not because of the marketing thing, but that's another story. But I got onto Twitter and was just like, I was so dumbfounded and so excited, I actually couldn't type what had just happened. All I could type was, they did the thing! They did the thing! And hashtag Once Upon a Time. And it took me a while to come down off the high and get off all caps and all this stuff. Be able to talk. They did the thing, and the thing happened, and the other thing, and oh my gosh! And it was very much squee and everything. And then I had to finally come down off the I can type in complete sentences now. And then I went over to Tumblr where I could tag everything with spoilers, which I do for about a day or two before. Then I figure, okay, everybody who cares about the spoilers has seen the episode by now, so hopefully they're good with this, because I don't like to, because tagging spoilers for too long is kind of a pain. Yeah. The first few days it's okay, but
well, and eventually, depending on what it is, like mainstream media will pick up, if it's something that they think is newsworthy, if like a finale of a TV series, whether it's a season finale or sometimes a series finale, you can go on to Yahoo's main page, and between the political and the sports news and the weather, they'll have entertainment news, and it may be a screenshot or a clip from a finale. So once the mainstream media picks it up, it makes it a lot harder.
Something like the Red Wedding or the How I Met Your Mother finale.
Exactly.
I'm trying to think of some others that are...
Like, if it gets picked up on mainstream media, you can kind of take that maybe as a sign that's, okay, maybe not. You don't need to tag spoilers, but...
Yeah, it's like everybody's seen this by now.
Yeah, and that's something else that is kind of funny, because I call it the statute of limitations, because I know the guys on Traveling the Vortex, they'll get on tangents about other stuff, not Doctor Who related, but sometimes Doctor Who related, they'll throw up the spoiler warning for a movie that came out like 30, 40 years ago. It's like, do you really?
Well, and then
they're
trying not to spoil Keith on Keeper of Traken, but everything else
that failed.
Spoils him. Spoils him on Keeper of Traken.
Right, but it's like we were saying earlier. It's like, Star Wars, Planet of the Apes, Soylent Green. Do you really have to throw up the spoiler alert now?
Well, when I was starting to watch Classic Who, I had no illusions that I was going to stay spoiler free if I was going to get into the fandom. So of course, like Classic Who, I was like, you know what? I don't care about spoilers. I'll be spoiled on stuff. Doesn't matter. Although there have been surprises for me. Because
that's how it's been with me.
26 seasons of Classic Who. Yeah, there are a few that that people aren't gonna get around to talking about. They'll talk about the big ones like Genesis of the Daleks and Caves of Androzani and City of Death and different things like that. But I'm trying to remember which one was it that it was one of the black and white ones that actually full on surprised me when I watched it. It had to have been one of the William Hartnell ones. Probably, I think it was Planet of Giants. that it was actually a surprise when I watched it that they had shrunk.
Oh yeah,
And,
that's what
and I was like, because I was watching this, I'm like, what kind of planet are they on? I don't get it. And then there's like, there's these giant things that I had no idea, and it was such a big revelation to me. But this one was aired in 1964 or something,
like
and it shouldn't have been as
It was beginning of
50 years later.
yeah. And so, because nobody ever talked about it, and I was just getting into fandom at that point. I wasn't like totally steeped in it like I am now, but I was but I know a little bit about certain things and stuff like that. Like when I first saw Earthshock, I knew what was going to happen there because the DVD cover spoiled me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a...
Does the DVD covers of these count as an official source for sport? Like,
yeah, they would, but I mean, like,
I think they have to.
yeah.
Because I'm like, the guys, when they're going to review something and Keith's like reading the description off of the DVD case.
And they're like, don't look at that.
Yeah, well, and,
Their big thing is he needs to stay off the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He goes
Which he
looking
doesn't
for
listen.
stuff. And then he finds stuff he shouldn't.
Yeah. Well, I can even kind of remember with Series 4 of New Who. Series 4 with the two-parter was the ending, the season finale was aired on Sci-Fi, and they had split it into 2 parts, and whoever cut their trailer together for the next time, I don't think it was an official BBC, but I had found a different source to watch everything, and I'm just like, man, talk about a spoiling for part 2 for one of the next time trailer. I'm just like, oh, whoa.
Yeah, I think they actually started putting those
finale. I actually just rewatched those recently because of this. I've been watching according to original air date, and that was like just recent. And part 1, The Stolen Earth, did not have a next time trailer. It just had to be continued.
Yeah.
So
and I remember
Sci-Fi obviously got together their own trailer.
Yeah, in their infinite wisdom.
I remember early on that there were complaints when New Who started with the 2-parters that they put the next time trailers before the end credits, and people were upset about it for the 2-parters because they were like, well, what if I don't want to see the next time trailer? And you're spoiling me on what's going to happen. How the cliffhanger is going to be resolved. So then they started putting it after the end credits instead.
Well, actually,
just for the 2-parters though.
Stephen Moffat had a lot to do with that because his 2-parter was the first 2-parter of the new series. So
well, there was Aliens of London.
He had to take the big cliffhanger, and then it was immediately the next time trailer, and he's like, "No, you can't do that."
I think it was Aliens of London was the first 2-parter. But yeah, I think The Empty Child was the first one where they switched it.
I don't know, but because I watched it with commentary, and he said something about.
Oh, that's right. Sorry.
Well, because I don't think the cliffhanger it wasn't as big for Aliens of London World War III or something, maybe.
Yeah, something like that.
But like with his,
that was the one. That was the one people complained about. So then they switched it so that they, and maybe I bet you Moffat had something to do with that because his was the next one. He didn't want it ruined.
Minute, my dog is scratching at my door.
Puppies!
So yeah.
Oh, it's a touchy subject, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is. And everybody has their own preferences and opinions on what constitutes a spoiler and how much they want to know. And it's just also and I especially do this with book series because with our group here, and some of us have been reading the Divergent series, and I'm like, oh, when you're finished, I want to talk to you about it, but I can't talk to you about it now. But then I'll also have friends who are watching something that I know about. It's like, oh, like how much do you want to be spoiled? And some people that I know are like, oh, I don't care. I don't care what happens. You can tell me. And I always feel a little weird telling them because I'm like, well, I wouldn't want to be spoiled on this, but if they say they don't care, then I'm like, oh, okay, well, because I want to talk about the things that I enjoy. In fact, my dad, I've been trying to get him into Doctor Who, and he's like, I've got too many shows to deal with and talk about. And my dad, he will tell me spoilers on all kinds of things. So mostly Star Trek, who's just like, well, I'm glad that I'm kind of not in a big hurry to watch all this stuff, but he'll tell me the plots to all these different episodes and things and things. So I return the favor with Doctor Who stuff, and he's like, yeah, it sounds interesting, but I just don't have time right now. Like, yeah, you'll probably never get into it.
My husband's like that. We both started watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and he only got like 2 episodes in before he started falling behind. And he was like, I just don't have time to watch it, so you just tell me.
Yeah, my dad was that way with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. too.
Which that's one of those shows where it's like, I don't want to be spoiled. And I was talking... we were saying something earlier about if it comes from official sources, like either, directors, producers, the cast, that sort of thing, that it's considered more of a teaser as opposed to a spoiler.
My dad thought I was more caught, like, when my sister and her boyfriend took me to see Captain America beforehand, my dad thought I was more caught up on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. than I actually was. So he spoiled something for me that...
Yeah, that's my point, is...
the movie, because he thought I was caught up, was completely caught up on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but I wasn't.
Yeah.
So...
That's something what I'm trying to... The story I want to tell here is we went and saw Captain America the Winter Soldier the weekend it came out, because we don't miss the Marvel movies when they come out in theaters, because they're worth the cost to go see in a movie theater. But that's neither here nor there. Mm-hmm. So, Captain America the Winter Soldier comes out. That following Tuesday, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is on. At some point, either that weekend or maybe the day before the episode aired, I was on Twitter, and somebody had tweeted to Clark Gregg asking him, if I haven't seen the new Captain America movie yet, will Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. spoil it? And Clark Gregg says, no, it'll enhance it. The man is a big fat liar. Because the episode airs, and within like the first 10 minutes, Hydra comes up on the screen. I'm like, Clark, you're a big fat liar. That is the biggest freaking spoiler in the known universe. And as soon as I saw that, I was on Facebook and Twitter saying, if you have not seen Captain America, do not watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. You will get spoiled.
Do not believe Agent Coulson.
Yeah. I even tweeted him. I said, you are a big fat liar, sir. I was so glad that I went and saw Captain America, because that would have been a major spoiler, and I would have been majorly PO'd from, especially considering, the main person on the cast said, no, it won't spoil it.
Yeah. Well, the thing is with that movie is you think that the villain's going to be one person, and it turns out, nope, it's someone completely different.
Yes.
Yep.
And, I mean, because I remember, because that weekend I had something going on, I couldn't get to the movie theater, but I had heard that you needed to see Captain America to, before the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. episode.
That was probably
which,
me.
It might have been you, yeah. And that kind of is an interesting question when a TV show and a movie are connected so
closely.
So closely. Like, how does that make you feel when you're watching a show and you can't get to the movie theater, or you can't afford it or something? That, like, do you have to see one before you see the other, or how do you make that work? And that could be another topic entirely, I'm sure, whenever we get around to discussing the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
Which, when I did get caught up on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I made sure, okay, the movie Captain America came out on this day, so only watch the episodes that came out before.
Exactly.
Right.
That's what I've told people.
And then I got caught up on the rest.
Yeah, because I've had people that have watched, that are keeping up with the movies, and haven't watched Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and have asked me, like, because they know I'm a big Marvel fan, they're like, should I watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? Isn't it any good? I'm like, well, yes, it is. It takes a while for it to find its legs, but if you've not watched all the movies, you're going to get spoiled after a certain point.
And it makes me wonder if they'll have like a viewing order list, or I'm sure fans have come up with this.
Oh,
if
I
they're
have.
Keep
I've seen
interlocking
one.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, if they're going to keep interlocking everything with the show and the movies and stuff.
Yeah.
So then okay, watch these movies and watch these episodes, which I think is kind of cool that they're expanding their universe that way.
Right.
It's just kind of, it can be problematic in some respects.
Right.
So.
You could easily watch the movies and not watch the show and be fine. But
that's true. That's true. And you could probably watch the show on its own and not the movies and be fine that way too.
Yeah, you'd be confused. Yeah, it ties in pretty closely. Stuff that happens in the movies directly relates to what happens in the show. So if it's fallout.
Well,
so
Captain America, the Winter Soldier, affected every Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. episode after it came out.
Yeah.
And Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I thought was pretty good, but then it got really good after the events of Captain America.
Yeah.
And that's really where it started to pick up steam and get going, where it was meant to go, but they could never tell us because they're like, saving that for when the movie comes out. Which probably affected a lot of it, might have affected their ratings, and I don't know. I have a theory about it, but
we'll save that for a Marvel discussion, a Marvel episode. Yeah. So, but yeah, that's one. When it comes to spoilers, that's one that gets my feathers ruffled up. And I wasn't even spoiled, but I was just mad for. I was upset for the people that did get spoiled, thinking that they weren't, because Clark Gregg said that they wouldn't get spoiled. So
maybe he has a different definition of spoilers.
Maybe. Coulson lives, but Coulson lies.
He's illegal to doctor.
Yes. Rule 1, Coulson always lies.
We'll have a T-shirt where the V on Coulson lives is scratched out.
Yeah.
There we go.
Nice.
And nobody will understand it but us.
Yeah,
It'll
exactly.
Just be our little private joke.
Exactly. So. Oh, well, any final thoughts or comments or?
Kind of me for the spoilers. I just kind of do like you guys do. There's certain ones where I'll cherry pick just because I want to know, and then there's other things. If somebody posted, "Oh, here's a major character death that's coming up," I don't want to know about that.
Oh yeah,
just
character deaths
things here and there.
Oh yeah.
I'll take. But if somebody's gonna say, "I know who's gonna die," I don't want to know. That I want to be completely oblivious to until it actually airs.
You get something like Game of Thrones where people are dying every week.
Well, that, Game of Thrones deaths, that's a normal Tuesday.
Yes, that's true.
Although the character deaths in Harry Potter were like, oh my gosh, and everyone for a long time thought Hagrid was going to die just because Robbie Coltrane had said some... Well, he'd been cagey about certain things, which was kind of a great big flop. So then when spoilers, Dumbledore was killed.
I think the statute of limitations there.
I know, but it was kind of a running joke for a long time.
Well,
it was like Dumbledore dies.
Yeah,
it's kind of like Dumbledore dying in book 6 is kind of one of those. It's going to be like Darth Vader is Luke Skywalker's father. It's going to be it's one of those.
Yeah.
This is thing I've seen on Facebook. It might have been original Tumblr or something like that, but it's like, if someone spoils me on this, and then they go on, and everyone did these big pop cultural spoiler things from like years ago, I have to find it. But that could remind me, and actually the whole Harry Potter thing reminded me of an evil prank that my cousin pulled on my other cousin using me. I got the 5th, 6th, 7th book all of the day they came out, and I finished them that day. Days that they came out, and one of my cousins, who's also a big Harry Potter fan but hadn't had a chance to read it, wanted to talk, but she couldn't. And then another cousin of mine tried telling her that I told him that Hermione died in the 6th book. I was like, I didn't say that. And I was like, I was trying to say that. I didn't say that, but I didn't want to say anything, like, just, I don't know. I was trying to not say anything. Because, I mean, obviously she didn't die, but I didn't want to say just in case she wanted, I don't know. It was hard, and I wanted to...
Yeah. It's like you want to deny the spoiler, but you don't want to accidentally spoil something else in the process.
Yeah, it's just like, I could either
it's kind of a tough... That's a tough spot to be put in.
Yeah.
It's like, why would you...
That's just mean.
I wanted to throw my other cousin into the lake.
That's like that one episode of the Big Bang Theory where Sheldon spoils Dumbledore's death for Leonard. And I don't like this episode I think is only a couple of seasons ago, so it's like it's been a while since the books and the movies came out, Leonard. What have you been doing? that you haven't even finished book 6 yet. But there was this whole thing about, and like Leonard kept trying to spoil Sheldon on something, and Sheldon he couldn't do it or something. I don't know. It was funny. So
yeah, I think the whole spoilers Dumbledore dies thing came because fans actually were spoiled about it, and they were really, really, really upset, and so. Everyone was checking, like, have you read it? Okay, yeah, Dumbledore, okay, we're good. And so that joke is just sort of perpetuated throughout the years.
Yeah.
So I can remember book 7 when that came out.
I cried.
Like, okay, what chapter are you in? Okay, you're safe. You haven't. I'll talk to you later after you get there.
Yeah.
Yes. That's why when I got those books, I made sure I was done that day, night.
Yeah. Me too. Especially with book 7, I had that thing read in like 12 hours, and that included sleeping.
Yeah.
So.
Luckily, I was on vacation and no one around it I knew, so I couldn't.
We were actually having a family reunion that weekend. It was horrible. I couldn't read straight through.
Like, leave me alone. I only need like 2 hours.
When I got book 7, I was allowed to read it on the way home, and then it was taken away from me, so I would sleep. And we went to church, and then we went to some friend's house after church, and then finally I got it back, and I finished it that afternoon.
That would have been torture.
Yeah, that would have been.
I had to work, and that was awful.
What I was supposed to do rather than stay up all night reading.
Yeah. Oh, goodness.
That was actually used to be my punishment if I would ever got in trouble. They took away my books.
Yep, that was me too.
So now spoilers has become if it's not in the dictionary yet, it probably will be at some point, along with selfie and YOLO and all that. So especially thanks to Doctor Who, spoilers has taken on a whole new connotation thanks to River Song.
Spoilers, sweetie.
Spoilers.
Spoilers. Every time I see spoilers, it's.
You hear it in Alex Kington's voice, don't you?
Oh yeah, every time. Yeah, I got such a kick out of that when she first did that in Silence in the Library, going spoilers. I'm like, haha, they're going meta on this. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, actually, the doctor did it first when he was talking about these books are from your future.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's what it was. These books are from your future. Spoilers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was River that made it a thing.
He figures out that they're in viruses, and Donna just kind of picks up a book randomly and is about to open. And is like, spoilers! These books are from your future.
Yeah. Little did he know he was forecasting to his own future.
Yeah.
Where spoilers would mean something, especially when that carries over. If you've seen Silence of the Library and Force of the Dead, and then you watch The Day of the Doctor, and 10 and 11 are arguing, and 10's all like, where are we? That that you're in
Where are
this
we
place.
going? Where
And
am I?
11 is all like, spoilers. And 10's eyes get like, no. Because
Yes.
11 knows that word means something
Yeah.
to 10 at that point. So,
Yes.
Has met River.
yes.
And the funny thing is that after 11 says spoilers, 10 goes, no, I want to know what's going on.
Yeah.
And then 11
Like,
goes, no,
yeah.
I really don't.
Yeah.
You will spoil me, and you will do it now.
Oh,
Spoilers it's something. It's meta. It's a meme. It
Well,
is.
and I was thinking when you were talking about how the series 7 DVD box set got shipped out early.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And he was like, don't spoil it. If you don't spoil it, we'll give you a special behind the scenes video with David Tennant and Matt Smith. And I remember that everyone posted like a bunch of fake spoilers, like stuff that
Oh, yes.
wouldn't happen, stuff from other fandoms, some of those pop culture like Dumbledore dies kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
I remember that.
Or the new
spoilers.
companion. The new companion is a cabbage perched on Tom Baker's shoulder.
Yeah. Oh, my.
Oh, fandom, we love you.
Yeah.
We do.
Sometimes you annoy us, but most of the time you do some pretty cool stuff.
Yes.
A source of amusement.
Indeed.
Yes, sometimes they break our hearts
Yeah.
with some of the. Ow.
Hopefully we haven't spoiled anybody too much with our discussion of spoilers.
Yeah.
If we did, don't say we didn't warn you.
Let's see. Darth Vader is Luke Skywalker's dad. Dumbledore dies. Soylent Green is people.
Brother and sister.
Luke and Leia are brother and sister.
That
The
was-
planet of the apes is Earth.
Did we get them all?
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably.
The Red Wedding. I don't know.
Yeah.
I actually haven't gotten
Lots
that
of
far
people
in the book.
die on Game of Thrones.
Yeah, neither have I, but I don't
Every-
have a hint. Of
Everyone
what's going on.
dies in Game of Thrones.
Yep.
I hadn't gotten to that point when the episode came out, but then by the time they got to the Purple Wedding, I had read past that. So
Yeah, I'm still slogging through book 3, and I'm to the point with Game of Thrones
I'm
spoilers. I'm
slogging
like, you know what? I'm gonna
4.
get spoiled anyway, so just I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I am. I've
4 right now. And trying to figure out what I'm going to do when I get to book 5. Like, am I, like, because I bought a 4-book bundle on Kobo. So I'm trying to figure out what to do when I get to book 5. Like, do I buy a physical copy? Do I get it from the library? Do I buy an ebook? Like, I don't know.
I have all.
But
I have all.
I have ways to go before I get there. So.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we're about done for this week's episode. So, unless anybody's got any final comments or something they want to spoil, I think we'll sign off.
All right. This is Brittany from Taos. Good night.
This is Christy from Salt Lake City saying goodnight.
This is Holly from Wisconsin saying good evening.
Michelle from Kitchener, Ontario saying goodnight.
This is Rachel from Indianapolis, Indiana. Soylent Green is people! You have been listening to the Fiveish Fangirls podcast. Any and all movies, books, games, and other forms of media mentioned are owned and operated by the respective copyright holders. No copyright infringement is intended or implied.